With all the craziness that's been happening around the world, people are kind of moving away from San Francisco. We heard Elon Musk move to Texas. We heard the mayor of Miami is trying to get tech companies to come. Um, does San Francisco really have any hope left for being that tech capital of the world? Well, we're going to find out today with our talk with Delian. How do you feel that businesses fare with the rules and regulations in the Silicon Valley?
Yeah, I mean, when the outdoor dining got, banned, whatever it was, roughly, a month and a half ago at this point in San Francisco, I definitely was extremely frustrated by that call since it felt like it really just didn't line up with any of the, data that I was seeing on outdoor spread or, the cases in San Francisco and the ICU capacity were actually just fine. And so I actually ended up, tweeting this kind of pithy tweet literally like 15 minutes out after that ban came. It was basically like, hear me out. What if we move Silicon Valley to Miami? And then ended up like sparking this whole, sort of crazy thread where the, Miami, mayor ended up sort of quote tweeting me and saying, how can I help? Which, has been a classic saying of his, but little did he know that that was like sort of the classic VC saying as well. Yeah, I'm obviously frustrated with San Francisco local regulation. I think it's like absolutely killing the restaurants, local businesses here, and it's incredibly unfortunate to see the choices that our sort of government officials are making. I think though it's great that COVID has basically inspired a lot of people to be much more comfortable working remotely and also shifting, where they work from or shifting where their companies are headquartered. Because I think it just creates much more fluid markets between various cities, which leads to I just think greater competition. Like San Francisco officials didn't really ever have to think about like what the hell the Miami mayor was doing versus all of a sudden they're seeing the Miami mayor literally court their most valuable constituents one by one and start to remove tax revenue from their city. At some point, they'll have to respond to that. You can't just, let competition, go on unfettered. At the same time, like San Francisco is still going to be the place where a lot of startups are created. It's the place where a lot of startup founders live. It's the place where a lot of the best sort of employees, executives live. And so it's still a great place to come to sort of, accelerate your tech career. I still think it's unlikely that, anybody gets even close to unseating, San Francisco over the course of the next decade. And hopefully, we reverse course in some of the atrocious decisions that we're making as a sort of local municipality, such that, maybe other municipalities have gotten to catch up to us over the past, 5 years and during COVID especially. But hopefully we reverse that and continue to sort of build and break away from everyone else. But at least for the next decade, San Francisco is going to be the place where startups and tech lives. And hopefully we don't kill our restaurants and local businesses along the way. And hell, hopefully we get back to building skyscrapers and opening new businesses and growing, since growth is sort of the cure to all disease.
It seems like other cities are really catching up, or at least trying to hold their own weight on that growth. And specifically Austin, like, what do you think about Elon Musk's move?
Elon is basically working 24/7 and he's also constantly flying back and forth. And so when an Elon type figure says he's like, quote unquote, living in Austin, you have to recognize like he's in Boca Chica a lot of the time. He's in Fremont for Tesla. He's like flying all around the world. And so, yeah, his home base might be in Austin, but, how often is he actually going to be basically like hosting, dinner parties in Austin? Probably honestly, like not that, not that much more often than he's probably going to be hosting them in like Miami, let's say. Is he going to do them a lot less in LA? For sure. I think when people like that are, sort of claiming that they're, doing this huge move, it's typically more for, PR and politics than it is for actual sort of like life logistics. And especially for somebody like him, like Starship's going to be doing a lot of flights in Boca Chica. That's his like number one project. Boca Chica's nowhere near Austin. You know what I mean? That is like the, southeast tip of Texas in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I'm sure he's spending a lot of time there. And I know that he is because like I have friends that work in Boca Chica and get to see him, on a regular basis and have FaceTime with him.
What are the glitters that you see that are still in San Francisco that someone who is wanting to be in tech or is starting out in tech wants to move to the Bay? What are those glitters that you still see that San Francisco has to offer them?
Yeah, I mean, what I'd say is I still have had, despite having visited many of these cities, over the course of COVID, LA, Miami, Austin, et cetera, the most interesting conversations on a regular basis, and it's not like there's zero in Austin, Miami, LA, et cetera. But if you're looking for consistency, LA or San Francisco still has the most just like consistently intellectually engaging conversations. Like the density of, startup talent, ambitious people interested in technology is here for sure, because that you sometimes get a monoculture and it's people focused on one particular thing. But, as interesting as like the Jake Pauls of the world are, they're not necessarily people that I want to be like spending, that much time with, since like, I don't know how much intellectual engagement you get from a conversation conversation like that. In San Francisco, that's basically the default. Like, you like literally can walk down the street and like accidentally like stumble into an office, into a founder's office, and end up learning something super interesting. And what I'd say is like those conversations have continued during COVID. Like I've been doing like outdoor walks with founders, friends, and things like that since like May of last year. Like I'm almost coming up on like 7 or 8 months of having basically had outdoor pitches and outdoor meetings and plenty of these like outdoor walks in San Francisco. And so yeah, I think there's definitely still promising signals that San Francisco is going to be the center of technology for quite some time.
So there it is. Dalian gave us the 411 on what's happening. San Francisco is still a great place to be. I love it in the Bay. And, if you want to be in tech, you got to go to where the people are. The people are here. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time.